If you take a look back at Tajiri's WWE run, you know what a masterful in-ring worker he was. It's unfortunate his talent wasn't better showcased. He was oftentimes relegated to comic relief. That's the presentation most wrestling fans are familiar with. However, some of his best work in North America was in Extreme Championship Wrestling. That's what I want to take a look at today, his run there. Yoshihiro Tajiri debuts against Antifaz del Norte in December of 1998. Aesthetically, not much meets the eye. He has yet to cultivate the look and character that we would come to know and love. As soon as the action starts, none of that matters. This guy can go. One thing that immediately stands out: the kicks. They look and sound brutal. This is probably the first time many are introduced to the tarantula. Yoshihiro Tajiri wins with a dragon suplex. The fans love it. No weapons, no blood, just an exciting fast-paced affair. ECW fans had a reputation for being marks for gore. Nonsense, I say. Yes, they loved their hardcore stuff, but they were allowed and appreciative of the athleticism and technical prowess exhibited in the ring. They were diehard fans who loved the art of professional wrestling in its various forms. That's why they loved Tajiri. It's ECW guilty as charged in 1999. Tajiri's opponent? Super Crazy. Here's where the magic begins. The chemistry he has with Crazy is pronounced. Nearly everything they do looks crisp, but not contrived. It's the type of performance you watch and say, let's run it back 1,000 times, and that's what Paul Heyman had in mind. Tajiri finds victory with a dragon suplex, and their rivalry gets underway. When they meet again, what's noticeable is that this isn't paint-by-the-numbers stuff. Tajiri and Crazy are out to make each encounter special in its own way. Matches that can be viewed and admired on their own. Tajiri gets another victory. By the way, I can only show what I have access to. Their ECW House Party 1999 match isn't on Peacock or YouTube that I can find. For the record, it's a battle won by Super Crazy. North Carolina gets a dose of the action. The buzz for these matches has begun. Besides what's on television, their house show matches are getting talked about. Everyone wants to see Tajiri versus Super Crazy. And yes, these matches from 1999 do hold up today. In some ways, I think they're superior to the high-flying action we're viewing in the 2020s. Super Crazy wins with a powerbomb. The fans in the Elks Lodge get a real treat for this next one. With brawling on the outside and action spilling into the crowd, this is their wildest match yet. In fact, Joey Styles declares this the best Tajiri Super Crazy match in ECW thus far. Crazy gets the win with a springboard frog splash. This next match is important. It's ECW Living Dangerously 1999. The victor of this pay-per-view contest will be recognized as the winner of the feud. By the way, no, this isn't the last Tajiri Super Crazy match in ECW, not by a long shot. Crazy hits a low blow and gets a near fall with a powerbomb, a finisher that's been working against Tajiri. Crazy still wins though. It's at this point Yoshihiro Tajiri branches out. New opponents await him in ECW. At ECW CyberSlam 99, it's Tajiri versus Jerry Lynn. One of ECW's unsung heroes is Jerry Lynn. Maybe all these years later, his work there is a little more appreciated. He and Tajiri deliver a very good contest. Tajiri just doesn't get it done tonight, though. Here's a dream team: Yoshihiro Tajiri and Taka Michinoku. They go against Nova and Super Crazy. The full-blooded Italians waste Nova on the outside. Tajiri wants a piece of Little Guido. Super Crazy receives a 2-on-1 trashing until Little Spike Dudley arrives and a proper tag team match takes place. What ensues is the insane action that helped ECW stand out against the Big Two. Spike Dudley gets laid out, leaving Crazy alone to eat a Michinoku driver and lose. As far as Little Guido goes, this is a man Tajiri's bested before. This time the two meet on pay-per-view at Hardcore Heaven 1999. Guido looks to pop an eardrum with slaps. Tajiri gives it right back. The whole match is wildly fun. Big Sal weighs in, but Guido still loses to a brainbuster. The ECW fans voted for more Tajiri vs. Super Crazy. Big Sal of the FBI ruins this by putting Tajiri through a table. Little Guido steals Tajiri's spot to wrestle Super Crazy one-on-one. It takes Tajiri a bit to recover, but when he does, Little Guido gets what's coming to him. Referee Jim Molyneux declares this a three-way dance. Super Crazy nails 3 moonsaults in a row to eliminate Guido. He walks right into a brainbuster from Tajiri and is pinned. This results in another one-on-one between Little Guido and Tajiri. Big Sal lets Tajiri know this won't be a fair fight. This slap, by the way, yikes. Tajiri takes it to the extreme not once but twice. Tajiri bites at Guido's open wound. This is a different side of him. Big Sal again involves himself, saving Guido. This directly leads to Tajiri submitting to what Guido calls the Sicilian crab. But the story here is that Yoshihiro Tajiri's finally ready to embrace a more aggressive side and begin his evolution. Enter Taz. The ECW World Heavyweight Champion says ECW was built on wrestling. He says anyone in attendance who disagrees can leave. Out of respect for Tajiri's extraordinary talent, Taz puts his title on the line against the Japanese buzzsaw. Despite a valiant effort, the champ catches the challenger with the Taz mission. Taz extends his hand and both wrestlers are on good terms. There is a three-way dance between Yoshihiro Tajiri, Little Guido, and Super Crazy. Balls to the wall action deserving of a highlight reel. Crazy is eliminated by the Sicilian crab. Tajiri hits blatant low blows and finishes things up with a brainbuster. Big Sal prepares to attack, but he flees upon hearing Taz's music. The ECW World Heavyweight Champion once again says how much Tajiri impresses him. Steve Corino, Jack Victory, and Rhino interrupt this. Taz decides he and Tajiri will face Corino and Rhino. That's one tag match that won't be happening. Tajiri's been paid off, but having an angry Taz to deal with isn't worth it. At Heatwave 1999, Tajiri backs up Steve Corino by attacking Tommy Dreamer and even Francine. Tajiri locks in the tarantula on Dreamer, but Dreamer doesn't allow him to release it, so he's a sitting duck for Taz. It's time for the ECW World Heavyweight Championship match. Some fans chant USA, with Tajiri adopting the evil foreigner role. The chants aren't sustained. That's more of a WWF WCW thing. Tajiri gets in a lot of offense and comes across as someone who can absolutely defeat Taz. By the way, ever seen a wheelchair thrown at a guy's face? After Taz plexing Tajiri through a table, Taz does something too violent to show on pay-per-view, performs a Taz mission using barbed wire. Officials have to immediately end the match. The champion has seemingly left his mark. With his face bandaged, Tajiri collides with Little Guido again. Well, obviously the face bandage doesn't stay on through an entire professional wrestling match. Guido hurts his knee. This is a big bullseye for this new sadistic version of Tajiri. The referee considers calling the match. Guido taps to a Texas cloverleaf. After the match, Tony DeVito betrays the FBI and joins the Corino crew. Big Sal is victimized. Steve Corino's issues with Tommy Dreamer and Francine remain unsettled. When the parties brawl, Francine dropkicks a chair into Tajiri's face. She ends up getting mist sprayed into her eyes. Taz enters the picture and Corino's crew flees the ring. Tajiri gets another shot at Taz and the ECW World Heavyweight Championship. A Tazplex takes Tajiri out, leaving the challenger lifeless. The champion brutalizes Tajiri with crossfaces. Tajiri saves himself with a low blow, allowing him a minor comeback. This ending sequence is really cool. The match ends with Tajiri tapping out to the Taz mission. Steve Corino berates Tajiri for his failure. He tells him he hates Chinese food and hates being hungry 15 minutes later. He hates how Tajiri's taken over all of the convenience stores. It looks as though Tajiri will be turned on. Super Crazy is scheduled to face Tajiri, but he will fight alongside his old rival. Corino's ignorant comments were only used to draw Crazy into an ambush. He won't stay down, and he goes after Corino's crew. His match with Tajiri will take place. There's a totally different vibe from their one-on-one matches earlier in the year now that there's a clear-cut babyface heel dynamic. Nonetheless, the action is just as good. Super Crazy wins with a powerbomb. At the Anarchy Rolls pay-per-view, there's more Crazy Tajiri goodness with Little Guido thrown into the mix in a three-way dance. Bad blood remains among all involved. Guido is the first man eliminated, leaving Crazy and Tajiri to continue the struggle in determining who the better man is. On this night, it's Yoshihiro Tajiri. Let's not forget about Tommy Dreamer and Francine. After what Tajiri put them through at the behest of Steve Corino, Tommy shows up in street clothes for his match with Tajiri because he's prepared for a straight-up fight. Tommy has Tajiri's number. Not only does he steal Tajiri's baseball slide, he also uses the tarantula against the Japanese buzzsaw. They brawl into into the crowd, giving the fans their money's worth. With a mouthful of beer, Dreamer gives Tajiri a different kind of misting. Dreamer seems to have this one with a Death Valley driver. Steve Corino interrupts the count. Francine gives him a pedigree for interfering. Dreamer's arch-nemesis Raven delivers a DDT to him. This affords Tajiri a pinfall victory. Steve Corino mocks Jerry Lynn's injured ribs that he got at the hands of the Impact players. Jerry goes on to give Corino a piece of his mind. An ambush from Tajiri awaits where the injured ribs are targeted. Jerry Lynn looks to let loose the full extent of his animosity toward Tajiri in a match. However, Lynn's injury is a big handicap. Tajiri transforms this contest into a struggle for survival. Tajiri uses a wrench on his injured opponent and then uses his sash to strangle Lynn. Jerry gives as good as he gets. He smartly blocks the green mist with a chair. Lynn nails the cradle pile driver, but Steve Corino stops him from capitalizing on his finisher. Jack Victory gets involved too. The odds are too much. With red mist, Tajiri blinds Lynn and finishes him off with a brainbuster. With the series of one-on-one matches with Super Crazy still going on, and at Jerry Lynn's emergence as a rival, we go to November to remember. It's a three-way dance, and despite Lynn's ribs still causing pain, he keeps up with the human dynamos. Super Crazy is the first man eliminated. This is where Tajiri begins picking away at Jerry Lynn, but he pulls through and wins with a cradle pile driver. Jack Victory and Steve Corino want a piece afterward, but they're disposed of. Jerry Lynn goes on to wrestle and conquer Steve Corino. Tajiri immediately pounces on Jerry, giving him the green mist treatment. With Jack Victory's assistance, the ribs are attacked. Super Crazy makes the save. A blinded Jerry Lynn lashes out at him though. Tajiri revels in the chaos he's caused. Later on the same episode of ECW on TNN, Tajiri and Super Crazy wrestle. At one point, Tajiri teases a handshake. Crazy needs to learn not to trust that man. Jerry Lynn goes after Tajiri for earlier. This interference doesn't sit well with Crazy, but a hyper-aggressive Lynn gives him a cradle pile driver, allowing Tajiri a very cheap victory. At the Guilty as Charged pay-per-view, Steve Corino goes on a power trip, booking Tajiri and Crazy together as a dream team. Paul Heyman throws Little Guido and Jerry Lynn together as opponents. While Guido and Crazy battle in the crowd, Tajiri keeps his rivalry with Jerry Lynn very physical. After Tajiri mists Lynn, Guido makes his intentions known. Lynn is betrayed. Crazy doesn't want Tajiri winning in that way, but too bad. After a brainbuster, Tajiri gets his pin. It would appear Steve Corino masterminded this whole thing. Jerry gets beat down, but Corino gives him credit for at least not being an old fat piece of garbage like Dusty Rhodes. Well, of course, the legend himself appears and opens up a can of whoop-ass. The rookie monster Rhino turns the tide. This too was planned by Corino. The locker room pours out to guard the legend from further harm. Fighting Yoshihiro Tajiri again, and incentivized Jerry Lynn seeks out another pinfall victory. Tajiri and Corino have been steering the man through a great deal of turbulence, and although Jerry is subjugated to another onslaught of offense, he is able to weather the storm and come out on top. What's next for Tajiri is his feud with Super Crazy ramping up to a new level of violence. They begin meeting in hardcore matches, or as this one in particular is billed, a Mexican death match. Tables, chairs, and blood. It makes perfect sense that their series should reach such heights due to the seemingly eternal feud never allowing much headway. Two men trading wins back and forth without either person really coming off as better than the other for long. Tonight it's Super Crazy, but up next is a Japanese death match. If you want to know the difference between this and the Mexican death match, well, Joey Styles pretty much admits there is no difference. Hey, it sounds really cool though, right? It's been amazing watching these two wrestle just to see who the better athlete is. And now, well, it's pretty much become who's going to nail the death blow that finally once and for all finishes the other man off. I love the finish to this as it's simply visually rewarding. A double stomp through a table onto a mess of chairs to give Tajiri the win. With Tajiri simultaneously carrying on with Little Guido, Tajiri has a three-way dance with the Sicilian Shooter and Super Crazy. Guido's eliminated, and it's once again back to the Divine Logos, the unchanging truth that Super Crazy and Tajiri will forever be locked into opposition. Going by fan reaction, it would seem that's fine. ECW fans are still energetic and loud for this duel. Tajiri falls to Crazy's springboard moonsault. Now, Rob Van Dam, the greatest ECW World Television Champion ever, is forced to relinquish the belt. At a whopping 700 days in, the whole effing show is forced to step away due to injury. There's a tournament to crown a new TV champion, and in the first round, it's Yoshihiro Tajiri versus the Sandman. It's Sandy, so while there aren't a bunch of arm drags and wrist locks, there's plenty of furniture. The riffraff enter the picture attempting to screw the Sandman out of the match. Tajiri makes a crucial mistake, and a blinded Rhino gores him through a table. After that, Sandy picks up the win. As far as the future of the ECW World Television Championship, Rhino and Super Crazy end up in the final. Crazy doesn't stand a chance, especially with Tajiri's interference. But there's one last hope. The former champion, Rob Van Dam, does not want Rhino, a stooge of TNN, of the network, bringing shame to the TV title. With Rob's help, Super Crazy becomes the new ECW World Television Champion. Not only does Tajiri want to defeat Crazy because of their personal rivalry, but now it's about revenge for foiling Steve Corino's plans and going for the TV title. They fight in another Japanese death match. Even if this is to Tajiri's advantage, Crazy still retains the title. Super Crazy gets mugged as a result. The Sandman joins the fight. He too falls. Balls Mahoney is next. Like the others, he's taken out. Corino's crew, the network, they're running roughshod in ECW. Cyrus and the network aren't through with championship ambitions. Crazy now must defend against Tajiri and Little Guido in a three-way dance. You can say been there, done that, but if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And this might be their wildest three-way dance yet. In fact, I'm pretty sure it is. All three competitors get color. Both Crazy and Tajiri eliminate Guido. To ensure Tajiri's win, Rhino punishes the champion. With that, Tajiri becomes the World Television Champion, and Cyrus claims the new champion will do the right thing, hand the championship over to the network. However, at CyberSlam, Tajiri is reluctant to hand the gold over to the network's chosen recipient, Rhino. Tajiri disobeys orders, and so Rhino is forced to take the ECW World Television Championship by force. But if the Man-Beast isn't expecting his smaller opponent to put up a fight, then he's wrong. Tajiri not only has to deal with Rhino, but Corino and Jack Victory. Against such odds, Tajiri can't win. Rhino becomes the World Television Champion. Tajiri is a good guy now. He does cool moves and sprays mist, so ECW fans were cheering him anyway. Now it's time to rage against Corino and the network. Tajiri may be outnumbered, but by cracking a beer open, the Sandman is summoned. Try it sometime. Open that beer in the fridge and see if he appears. I hear it works. The unlikely team of Yoshihiro Tajiri and the Sandman go against Steve Corino and Rhino. Joey Styles is shocked to see Sandy apply a wrestling hold. This is your typical ECW fun. Sandman's wife even gets involved. Rhino takes himself out, leaving Corino alone to be defeated by Tajiri. Tajiri has another chance to reclaim the television title against Rhino, but once again this turns into a numbers game. The Japanese buzzsaw holds his own, but a pile driver through a table will take anyone out. Rhino wins the match. This brings us to Hardcore Heaven. Finally, a one-on-one match between Yoshihiro Tajiri and the man who kept him on a leash for so long, Steve Corino. In fact, Corino warns him to reconcile their differences or else. Well, Tajiri chooses the or else option. He's his own man and will no longer be used. A brainbuster on the walkway opens Corino up, and Tajiri bites at the wound. Turning babyface doesn't mean you have to lose your edge, not in ECW anyway. Corino gets the hell beaten out of him. Jack Victory eats the green mist to a huge pop, and the crowd grows even louder for this offensive onslaught. Go Tajiri, go! With a double stomp through a table, Corino is put to bed. Awesome stuff. The network is still intertwined with Tajiri's ECW future. Add Jerry Lynn to the mix because there's been uncertainty about whether he's Team ECW or Team TNN. What we do know is that he has every reason to still despise Tajiri for everything the Japanese buzzsaw put him through. Perhaps the singles match on TNN will clear the air, but when Corino and the others interfere, Jerry Lynn capitalizes with a win. However, Lynn's loyalty is uncertain because it's hard to tell if he was aware of the interference. This this angle carries on, Cyrus appoints Jerry Lynn the guest referee in a rematch between Steve Corino and Tajiri. Steve seems to need an advantage in defeating his old henchman. He gets quite a licking, good gracious. After putting Tajiri through a table, Corino turns this around a bit. What really seals Tajiri's fate is accidentally misting Jerry Lynn. As a blinded official, he decks Tajiri, leading to Corino's victory. The question still remains what Lynn's true intentions are. The following week, Tajiri is set to compete against Little Guido. Jerry Lynn takes the appointed referee out and once again dons officiating duties. Tajiri pretty much destroys Guido, but Lynn again suffers friendly fire. Big Sal does what Big Sal does and Jerry makes the count. So here we are, it's Tajiri versus Jerry Lynn again. This time people get some answers. Cyrus comes out fully supporting Jerry Lynn. After Cyrus gets misted and put into the tarantula, a Steve Corino superkick that helps Tajiri win lets everyone know Jerry Lynn is not with the network. It's been a hot minute since Tajiri had an ECW World Heavyweight title shot. The current holder is Just Incredible, so here we go. Thank goodness Just Incredible has Francine. She turns this into a virtual handicap match. She finally gets her just desserts. Hey, she had it coming. Somehow Just Incredible survives the double stomp through a table. Hey ref, that was a 3 count. Credible retains with a pile driver.
Come on.
At the ECW Heatwave pay-per-view, Yoshihiro Tajiri competes in a 4-way elimination against Little Guido, Mikey Whipwreck, and Psychosis. Guido gets rid of Whipwreck early on. Tajiri eliminates Psychosis. It comes down to Guido and the Japanese Buzzsaw, 2 men who've been at this since very early on in Tajiri's ECW journey. After using the green mist, a brainbuster onto cold steel solidifies a win for Tajiri. Before Tajiri enters his closing chapter of ECW, there are loose ends to tie up with both Jerry Lynn and Steve Corino. This sees the men participate in a 3-way dance. However, one cradle pile driver later, you can see this is no longer Tajiri's story to finish. With an old school expulsion, Corino defeats Jerry Lynn. Tajiri moves on toward the downright bizarre. Mikey Whipwreck has been a staple of ECW since damn near the very beginning. From teaming with Cactus Jack to tangling with Steve Austin during his brief run, the underdog has pretty much seen it all. After he loses to Little Guido, Whipwreck becomes the recipient of some hard times. Someone very familiar with the full-blooded Italian steps in and rescues him. This is the start of something unholy. Father James Mitchell, the sinister minister, teaches young Tajiri about the temptations of the flesh and how he should simply give in.
I've heard of spraying girls in the face, but that is a horse of a different color.
Do these oddities make for reliable allies? Well, after defeating Easy Money, the FBI target Tajiri, seemingly wielding the flames of hell, Whipwreck proves he's definitely someone you want on your side. This is the beginning of Tajiri and Mikey Whipwreck tagging together. They team with Psychosis to go against Big Sal, Little Guido, and Tony Mamaluke of the Full-Blooded Italians. Tajiri accidentally blinds Psychosis. For that, Psychosis costs Tajiri the match. The fallout from that is a true gift unto the world because Tajiri and Psychosis have a very special singles match. In fact, back before I followed ECW, this gem was on the Deep Impact DVD I purchased. It's something that encouraged me to step out of the WWF bubble and begin pursuing matches from 90s All Japan and the Independents. Tajiri wins this great encounter to much fan approval. The Unholy Alliance of Mikey Whipwreck and Tajiri begin gaining momentum. They defeat the team of Tony Mamaluke and Little Guido, and even become tag team champions by winning a tournament for the vacant titles. The celebration is short-lived. Tony Mamaluke and Little Guido are the new tag team champions' first challengers. And this is do or die for the FBI, because if Guido and Mamaluke fail, they must split up. Tajiri and Whipwreck are really becoming a fun duo to watch work at this point. As a unit, they perform exceedingly well. However, with a kiss of death, the titles already change hands. Whipwreck and Tajiri are now on the chase, and at the Anarchy Rules pay-per-view, the team have the chance to defeat Mamaluke and Guido to reclaim tag team gold. Tajiri takes Big Sal out, but the goon's massive weight traps Tajiri on the floor, leaving Whipwreck alone to eat the pinfall. Tajiri continues to have fun with Father James Mitchell. At November to Remember, the teams clash again. There's still magic between Guido and Tajiri. Such good chemistry between these guys. After delivering a double whippersnapper, Whipwreck injures his shoulder, leaving Tajiri alone to deal with the tag team champions. Who has Tajiri's back? Well, the insane luchador Super Crazy shows up to even the odds, because Tajiri is absolutely someone Crazy can trust, right? Yes, they make a good team, but Crazy sacrifices himself to do away with Big Sal. Again, Tajiri is left alone, and because of that, he loses. Tajiri and Crazy do shake hands afterward. Has their feud finally come to an end? Chris Hamrick, Julio De Niro, and Easy Money wrestle Yoshihiro Tajiri, Mikey Whipwreck, and Super Crazy in a 6-man tag match. As much as Joey Styles can't believe Super Crazy and Tajiri coexisting, some things are too good to be true. When Super Crazy accidentally dropkicks Tajiri, it costs him the match. Crazy is apologetic, but his old rival isn't having it. That means Yoshihiro Tajiri versus Super Crazy one more time. Fans in attendance are lucky to see it. This is the last televised singles match between these two in ECW. Mikey hits the whippersnapper on Super Crazy, allowing Tajiri a victory on this night. Super Crazy needs a partner to help deal with the Unholy Alliance, and at the Massacre on 34th Street pay-per-view, Kid Cash answers the call. When Crazy and Tajiri share the ring, it's everything you want, and the fan response is justified. How appropriate that as ECW is on the verge of death, one bright spot is that Yoshihiro Tajiri and Crazy are still going at it and giving fans an amazing spectacle. This is a fun match overall, so credit is due for everyone involved. Using the old double stomp through a table and onto chairs, Tajiri gets another pinfall over Super Crazy. As far as the ECW tag titles, they're no longer in the possession of the FBI. They're now being held by Danny Doring and Amish Roadkill. But a way to get back into title contention is by winning this tag team match. Once again, Tajiri and Mikey Whipwreck go toe-to-toe with Tony Mamaluke and Little Guido. The Sinister Minister introduces Mamaluke to the Testicular Claw. Tajiri tries a few new moves out. Unfortunately, there's no victory to be had here tonight. This tag team rivalry leads to a 2 out of 3 falls match at Holiday Hell. Credit where credit is due, by the way. I couldn't find Holiday Hell on Peacock. I'm getting these stills and clips from Lou Gregory's YouTube channel. He has the entire event uploaded. Mamaluke and Guido get the first fall with a double submission. Mikey Whipwreck and Tajiri even up the score. They even go on to win the contest. This leads us to Guilty as Charged, and it's bittersweet that it's come to this. This is it, folks. The Unholy Alliance versus the FBI versus Kid Cash and Super Crazy. I'm soaking in these final exchanges between rivals before Cash is pinned, eliminating his team from the match. As far as the FBI, well, it's the same as always. Two teams gelling extremely well and producing the high-quality stuff we've come to expect. A pair of double suplexes gives Tajiri and Mikey Whipwreck the win. But as I said, it's all bittersweet. From here, Tajiri and Super Crazy clash a few more times on house shows before ECW closes its doors. That's right, Tajiri's ECW story ends here. If you're of the opinion that Paul Heyman didn't create something special with Yoshihiro Tajiri, I want you to listen to this.
What's your name? Tajiri. 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 Yes.
That, my friends, is a pop. Not a massive reaction, but when Tajiri made his first WWF appearance, at least a portion of the audience knew of the Japanese buzzsaw. And look, I don't want to say Vince McMahon and company totally squandered away Tajiri's prime. His comedic timing was impeccable, and Tajiri's natural ability to make people laugh wasn't overlooked. However, Tajiri happened into a time and place very different from today's WWE. The WWF of 2001 wasn't exactly work rate central. The upper mid-card talent and main eventers were afforded time to work, but most wrestlers would get 2 or 3 minute matches full of silliness. Not exactly a proper environment to showcase Tajiri as a professional wrestler, but a familiar face from Tajiri's past would open the door of opportunity. Enter the inaugural brand split. A SmackDown headed creatively by Paul Heyman should be the perfect playground for Tajiri. Well, not exactly. Honestly, while Tajiri still was not presented the way he was in ECW, WWF fans did get to see glimpses of what made him special thanks to being part of the cruiserweight division. In my opinion, Tajiri's best stuff under the thumb of Vince McMahon is right here. I think if certain people got out of Paul Heyman's way, we could have gotten some more really cool things out of Tajiri. That's why this video was meant to showcase everything he did in ECW. He was booked with the consideration of his in-ring capabilities while not ignoring how much fun he brought to the table. Wrestling isn't about pure work rate, it's a mixture of different things. Paul Heyman understood that, and through Yoshihiro Tajiri, that was properly communicated. Great matches and fun memories were gifted to us time and time again because Tajiri could do it all. He just got it. With that, I want to thank Tajiri for the memories because he really was one of my favorites to watch. If you enjoyed the video, that's great, but now I encourage you to look up some of Tajiri's ECW matches and enjoy yourself, because professional wrestling rules.